Sunday morning, time for us to break down and thank our amazing patrons over on Patreon. We start off with the gold members, Brendan Myers, James Johnson, Ryan Turfer, Coach Timbo, Dawn Becker. Then we move right into our platinum producers, the Nasty the Nasty Boots, and Tammy. Tammy's not nasty. She's amazing. I'm sorry for that. Platinum. So that was the platinum producers. Diamond executive producers Corey Hicks, Jonathan Brown, and then our two newest members to Patreon. Thank you guys so much for this. Eric, which I believe is Big Bad Bob on Twitter, and then Zachary Bradshaw. You guys are amazing. Thank you for coming on board and being a part of the family. Now, time for the show.
They're breaking down all the news and they're making it nice. Give Furukawa and Bowser all their business advice. Gonna answer your questions, gabbing on and on. If you like what you hear, go check out the Patreon. The Nintendo Guru, yeah, his name is Bobby. He loves all things Nintendo except maybe Kirby. And the greatest co-host in all of the land. You know it's Sean like Connor, it could be like the pants. If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 171 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Mr. Sean Capri.
Bobby, it's good to see you this Sunday morning. I'm back home in Canada. How are you, my friend?
I suffering the Nintendo Dad's hangover, Sean.
Nice.
It's not as good as the first time, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
no kidding.
So, for those that don't know, I always have these faux pas where I mess up, and literally Sean and I recorded this whole intro thing, and then I look down, I'm like, wait a minute, Sean, the audio's not picking up. We got to start over. So
that's all right. We got to this point right here, and then that was it. So from everything from here on out, totally original content, everybody. Yeah. Everything before, we already had our dress rehearsal. So exactly. Bobby, you had your hangover, which is hilarious that you call it that because it's exactly what it is. The Nintendo dads are they're the jocks, they're the frat boys. You know, they have their parties every Thursday. They go way late into the night. It's not a big deal to them. They just like pack it up and keep going. But if you're new to it, or if you don't do it all that often, which is your case, like you guys recorded until what was it, 2 o'clock in the morning?
2 in the morning, man. 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning.
My time, yeah.
I
came home from work and literally went to bed. Could only sleep for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. And then I start recording with them, and I'm like, oof, wow, this is tough. Mm-hmm. It was hard, man. And then on top of that, Sean, they play video games with the patrons for an hour before the show even starts.
It's amazing.
I don't know how they do it, man.
I don't know how they do it either. But maybe that's what we should be doing. Maybe we should start before. Maybe we've got to wake up an hour before this.
Yeah, I can because it's not that hard for me. It'd be harder for you.
We could do it.
I'm down with that.
I mean, I showered before this, so that's been kind of nice. Like, I don't shower on Saturday mornings because I don't really have a reason to wake up in the morning. Yeah. Which is a set. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not make this about me. Bobby, you were on the Nintendo Dads for a very good reason. Very amazing episode for you to be on.
It was?
They celebrated 250 episodes.
Oh, that, yeah.
5 years, man.
Yeah. No,
stop.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
I messaged Justin Masson afterwards, and I was just saying, like, and I think I even tweeted this as well. Like, I was overwhelmed by a lot of emotions, actually. Just maybe I was just tired, but a lot of nostalgia because 5 years is a long time. A lot has changed in 5 years. There's a lot to look back on in our lives. I think a lot of us can remember like where we were in our life when we first started listening to Nintendo Dads.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened since then. Like a lot of friendships have been forged out of that. And so for them to still be around and for them to still call their show Nintendo Dads and for them to have, the majority of the hosts, and they've added on to it. But a lot of content creators, I think, particularly for us, it's in stark contrast to us, where we change everything every 5 seconds. And those guys have been so consistent. Yeah. And I admire that quite a lot. I admire a lot of what they do. Mm-hmm. But 250 episodes, 5 years is nothing.
It's astonishing, man. It's astonishing.
It really is.
Because I think about it all the time when I go, and I've never done it yet, and I plan to. I always wonder how long Toby and I have been doing it. Mm-hmm. But we've changed shows like 4 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've rebranded the show numerous times, but we've always kept it Toby and I. And although at the moment I'm down a man, and I haven't been even doing anything on that side because of it. But and we're at 171, and that's crazy in its own right. We stopped for a while. You know what I mean? Like, so between stopping and all that stuff and like shifting who the host was at one point, which was the biggest mistake I ever made. Those were the dark years, the Joseph Moran years, are the darkest years of all.
Oh, stop! Those were great. You know what though? Those were dark years because look what happened because of that though, man.
Well, listen,
you
don't
Joseph
listen.
In, we had a lot.
Here we go.
It's okay.
Here you go.
If Nintendo dads are the constant, we are the variable that just keeps taking things in and spitting things out and causing change in our little universe here.
Yeah, they are pretty spectacular, and
it's amazing.
And just watching how that, sitting there and listening to it unfold, you know what I mean? And the nice thing about being on that episode, I got to take a moment to thank them for creating the Nintendo Guru to some degree, because I went on that show as the Geek Guru the very first time, similar to how you and I met. That's how far back it goes. And a lot of people that know me only know me as the Nintendo Guru. They don't know me as a Geek Guru previously. But those guys brought me in, and that's when I rebranded because of a conversation with Justin. And they basically kicked me off to start it off and was just like, no, this guy does great content. It was like they gave me their blessing, and so many of their followers started following me. And it was such a huge, because those that don't know, like I had almost 1,000 subscribers on the Geek Guru channel, and I shut it down to move over to the Nintendo Guru. And started back over at 0. And their push helped get me solidified right out the gates. And I met like Josh Thomas because of them, and Rogers Base, and like, which then got me to meet Miss Click and all these different people. Well, that Miss Click I met through Pat, but like all these different people started because of my time spent with the Nintendo dads, and I'm forever thankful for that. Like it's
I met Dave Moore because of, and Johnny Casino and all those guys, and like the whole Day Space thing happened because of that. We all came together for a moment in history, and the Xbox Drive happened because of all that. Like so many things. Just you can go back in time and look at what was caused by starting on the Nintendo dads. Like their community is something very special where like they support they support friends. It's almost like NASCAR. I think this is an appropriate analogy. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. But people who like a driver will support the sponsors of that driver. Like they'll go out of their way to go like, they sponsor my driver, I'm going to buy all their stuff. And that's what I feel like the community at the Nintendo dads does. Yeah. Somebody comes on their show, and we saw that even just this week with the patrons. I'm fairly certain that is because you did a great job, Nintendo dads, that we had Zach Bradshaw and Eric Big Bad B.
Yeah.
Come on. So yeah, absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed you on the show, and I really enjoyed Zach Erickson's voice on the show. Also, before I go to Zach, congratulations to Tim Olf. Absolutely amazing. He announced the permanent co-host. My God, that's like the fan dream right there. You know what I mean? Just like you listen to these guys, and all of a sudden they bring you in, and they make you a permanent fixture. Like
that's pretty awesome.
That's a historic moment. I think they say. So congratulations, Tim, if you're listening.
Sean, listen, let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout outs, even though we just shouted out.
Zach Erickson's amazing. He's probably not listening to this, but I want to reach out to Zach and Justin and do like a bit of a pair 'em up on the GamerCast. So speaking of changing things up, we are about to hit 180 episodes of this show, which will officially overtake We the GamerCast, which is hard. Like I'm just like,
let's be fair.
Why did I change it?
Let's be fair. You threw like 50 fake episodes at We the GamerCast.
They're not fake episodes. They're full, like, 2-hour episodes.
I know, but you would do these episodes, like 5 episodes in a week. And bump the numbers up, man.
What do you mean? They count, Bobby.
It's just whatever, dude. Whatever. Anyway, listen. My shout out.
You go to like whatever non-counting episodes, and you go back and make up your fake numbers.
How about I go to Nintendo Talk and just like bang all these numbers? This
is why we'll never be better than the Nintendo dads. There's always just like knocking me down.
Oh, here we go. Poor Sean. Let's cry. Let's break out the tissues.
I'm either a crybaby or I'm yelling at people. That's what I've got on the internet right now. Those are my reputations that I've seen. Joseph Moran, see Joseph Moran. This is what I'm saying.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. Listen.
All right.
See Joseph. See. Listen. Okay. So I want to shout out real quick. Jesse Flores, Tony Wams, Coach Timbo, and Frank Clark. And the reason why I want to shout these 4 gentlemen out is yesterday, Stealth 40K put out a tweet where he was doing a giveaway. It was like, you got to retweet this tweet or whatever, but I want you to also list your favorite content creator below. And all 4 of these guys reached out and tagged me in it and was just like, I love the content that you do. And I'm just like, wow. And like some of them were like Frank Clark put like the best YouTuber is Nintendo Guru, the best Twitch streamer is I forget who he put, but then the best mixer streamer Ninja and stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, dude! Like he put me up there with like on the pedestal of great names, and it was just like floored, man, floored.
Amazing.
So thank you guys so much, man. That really truly meant the world to me.
And Andrew Semichek jumped on board and said that he likes the content that I make as well. So shout out to everybody. And if we missed anybody there too, like there's a lot going on in that feed. So thank you to Andrew Semichek. We the nerdy, my friend.
Yes. So you have a shout out there, Sean?
I got a couple, man. Tony Baker, Sheldon Benedict, Joel Brooks, Quest for Pixels. I'm gonna go see those guys on Friday afternoon at the West Edmonton Mall, Bobby.
Oh boy.
They're coming to Edmonton. I don't know why, but Tony Baker lives in Edmonton, so
yeah, that's why.
Sheldon Benedict and Joel Brooks, we're gonna see those boys. We're gonna have some. We're probably gonna touch Bobby. We're probably gonna have a little bit of a hug, maybe a little little Eskimo kiss, like with the noses.
Here he goes.
What are you talking about?
You've already met these guys,
haven't you? Are you tweeting over there?
I was looking at
Joel Brooks. I haven't met Joel Brooks. I haven't met Tony either. We haven't met.
Oh, I thought you met Tony. I met
Sheldon. I met Sheldon a couple of years ago. When we were at West Edmonton Mall then as well. But that's happening this Friday. So shout out to those guys.
I would love to meet Joel because Joel's old school, man. Joel was around a long time ago, man, and I love that guy so much.
I bet he gives good hugs. I bet he does. I got my
final shout out. I got
high expectations.
So I want to give a shout out to Jamie, the gaming guru. Yesterday, this is so funny, Sean. Yesterday, I'm sitting at Nick Militia's store, right, picking up some stuff, right, and this kid comes in with his wife, if I'm not mistaken. He comes in, and they're talking, and me and Nick are talking, about something podcast-related, but Jamie thinks that Nick's talking to him, and Jamie starts to answer him a little bit, and he's like, no, I'm talking to Bobby. He's got a podcast. He's like, oh, you got a podcast? What is it? So I open up my wallet, I pull my business card out, and I hand it to him, right? And he's like, oh, you're the Nintendo guru? And I was like, yeah. He goes, I'm the gaming guru on YouTube. And I was like, get at? Like, I was just like, okay. And he does like Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube. So shout out. If you're listening right now, please go give him a subscription and sub him and all that. He's way better. He got more He got more subs than I do. But I was just like, holy cow, dude, this is so cool. So then last night I come home and he tweets and shouts me out about like, go check out my content and all this stuff. He followed me on Twitter. He followed me on Twitch. He followed me all over the place.
Look at that. That business card is really working for you.
Yeah. So we're gonna do something where we do a podcast together.
That's
or something.
Amazing.
Like bring him on the podcast to meet him better.
Does he look like you? Are you guys like doppelgangers too? Like you're the same person?
He looks like a younger me. Honestly, he did. Like he looks a lot younger than me, man. I was like, well, I mean, he is younger than me, a lot younger than me. But dude, he was like, he's a game collector, bro. He's a game collector. Yeah, he's in there and he's looking at stuff and he's like, he knows the price of the retro games. Mm-hmm. Like he's talking to Nick about stuff. He's like, yeah, but he's like, I don't understand why this, because he bought Chrono Trigger in a box, complete the Japanese version.
Get lost. Nick had that?
Nick had that. It was nice.
How much was that?
20 bucks, dude. $20. Well, that's what he says.
$20 complete a box?
Yeah, because he's like, dude, I don't understand why the American version is like $150. And he's like, yeah. And so they started talking about that. And it was like pretty cool.
Get out. No way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's awesome. What a great game, dude.
Dude.
Oh, what a good find.
Yeah.
Nick Militia's store. Look at that.
Dude, let me tell you what. Nick yesterday, let me even shout out to Nick real quick. He got the holy grail, one of the holy grails of Nintendo games yesterday. I walk in
UN Squadron.
I walk in Next Level Games, right? And he's like out of it, like kind of acting real weird. I'm like, you okay, dude? He's like, dude, I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, why? I'm like, do I need to call somebody? Like, is something? He's like, no. He's like, I just got the game and I can't even believe it. And he holds it up and it's Little Samson. Dude, this game is like a $1,300 NES game.
I've like never even heard of this game. Little Samson?
Little Samson. It is one of the be-all, end-all NES games. It came out at the end of the life cycle of the NES, and it's actually a really good game. I believe Data East or Taito, they created it. It's like one of the most amazing games ever, and it's very hard to get. Very hard to get. So he got that and the instruction booklet. He said the instruction booklet alone goes for about $200. And
that is crazy. I'm looking at pricecharting.com is the first thing that popped up.
Yeah.
And it's like it's as high as $1,200 in some cases.
Yeah. And
that's insane. I wonder how much.
And his copy is like pristine. Like he showed me, and it's like pristine. I was like, oh my god! But then he starts bringing out all this stuff, and I picked up a couple other things from him that came out of this lot. Two things that I picked up that I'm going to post on Instagram today. Nintendo Club exclusive Game & Watch collections in the box, sealed, like Collection 1 and Collection 2. That the only way you could get these collections were to be a Club Nintendo member and to have the points and apply and get them. Those two were in the collection. He had like Majora's Mask complete in box, Ocarina of Time complete in box. This kid had all kinds of stuff.
Those things will never. It's just crazy that won't exist in like 15, 20 years for the games that people are playing now. Yeah, like, really. Like, even complete in box, it's like, even if you did have like The Witcher, which we'll get to in one of our topics, like, it's just not a thing. Like, who cares? You got like an empty case, basically. Like, it's just, oh man, that's which only will drive up the value of these things.
Exactly.
Because not only are they like each individual piece rare, but like that won't even be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Unless they make maybe like vinyl came back, so who the hell knows. Bobby, I want to quickly shout out Donnie Reese, because we've been shouting up for 25 minutes here, so whatever. Donnie Reese, he gave me a hat, he gave me a shirt, he bought me lunch, he picked me up from my hotel. He's a very nice man. We hugged. Wait, did we hug? Don, did we hug? We at least shook hands. I was in his car. I had a very nice time with Donnie Reese, even though we had about 25 minutes. No, we had about an hour together, I think. We had to really race because he had to go pick up his kids from daycare, and I was holding him up. I was late on my trip coming in from Toronto. But for the rest of the story, guys, please, if you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing with yourselves, please check out the Nintendo Shack. You don't even have to subscribe to the entire PSVG network and get all the shows, although you can do that as well. Nintendo Shack is one of the best Nintendo shows on the internet. You guys should definitely please check it out. Donnie Reese, thank you so much, man. He tells the story way better than I ever could, so it's on over there. The last thing, Bobby, Extra Life coming up.
Yes.
I need to ask you a question about Extra Life. Speaking of Donnie. Okay, well, not really speaking of Donnie. I have the skateboard, okay? I have an offer coming in from an anonymous person who will not be named because they're anonymous, to give me a large sum of money to just like to donate to, not to buy it, but to donate to my page, and then just get the skateboard, not leave it up to random draw or anything like that. I need to, like, I want to ask you about this, get your thoughts, but I also want people to like weigh in on this, because I don't think anybody's really, like, Seamus Mullins is my first donor. I don't think he's doing it for the skateboard, but I don't want to have other people kind of like, I was looking forward to that skateboard and now they're not going to give or anything like that. But at the same time, like, this anonymous donor is making a very generous offer, making it very worthwhile, or at least to consider.
So nobody else has donated other than Seamus.
That's right. I think that's a huge contributing factor, is that we've been talking about the skateboard. Nobody's donated. This person is offering a large sum of money. I think I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, and I would just, because
we still have other prizes.
It's for a good cause, and it's not like you don't have some amazing stuff you're giving away as well. I would, you know what, man, because it's for a good cause. It's not like you're pocketing the money. Like, if you were saying, like, I'm going to just sell this to this guy, I'd be like, that's kind of
There's
bad.
no way. There's no way.
But I'm saying, but I'm saying, like, this.
I would never take money for it.
No, I'm just saying, if you were to say that to me.
Super duper clear about it. I was going to give it away at FanFest. I was just going to, like, somebody else was like, that's awesome. I was like, well, here, have it.
Yeah.
But then there's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for your thoughts on that. Quickly shout out the people who are coming to Extra Life, Rome, New York, November 2nd. Bobby, for you. Mr. Bland Explosion, Garrett Bland.
Yes.
Jams Gams. Looks like Josh Borboni and Kevin Austin
are
coming as well, man.
Yes.
Bad bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lee Navarro, Ryan Turford, and Skinny Map. We've got a little group going on in Discord.
So I've been talking to Joe after work. He will not know till the final moment whether he could go or not.
Okay,
because
so he's coming.
because of work.
Joe After Work confirmed.
Because of work. But I want everybody right now, if you're listening, I want you to tweet at Joe After Work and say, we want you at Extra Life in Rome. Mm-hmm. And please just say, Joe, go to Rome. That's all. So there you go. We need to jump into some topics here, Sean.
Well, one extra push for Joe After Work.
Oh, here we go.
If Joe After Work comes, we will be playing. Oh, Bobby, you need to put your headphones on for this. You need to put your headphones back on. Come on, Bobby. I know you're trying to ignore me. Put your headphones back on. I'm trying to talk.
I'm trying to just fix my hat, man.
All right, I'm trying to talk. Okay, so Joe After Work comes. All together, we are going to play Super Kirby Clash. It's a free-to-play game. It looks like Castle Crashers. Bobby's not listening to me anymore, but it's a Kirby game. We are going to play Super Kirby Clash together. I can't think of a better thing.
Let me explain something to you. I seen this conversation happen in Discord. I completely ignored it for a reason. I am not playing Kirby.
I know you ignored it.
I'm not playing Kirby at all.
It's free to play.
I don't care what. Listen, it could be they pay me to play. I'm not playing the game. All right?
We've all downloaded it.
So the only way I play is if people like throw some money at us for Extra Life and get me up over the hump to be like, okay. Yep.
Actually, that's a good call. That's something good. But we're gonna have a Mario Kart tournament. We're gonna have a Smash tournament. It's gonna be amazing.
It'll be awesome.
November 2nd, Twitch.tv/Sean Capri. I'll be on the entire time, whether I'm the one personally hosting or not. But our entire day will at least be will be streamed from there. And the rest, everybody who's coming, Lee's got a spot for them. He's got a dedicated spot for everybody to play whatever they want, whether they're streaming or not, dude.
That's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. Lee Navarro absolutely killing it. So stay tuned, guys. I want to spend a little bit of time on this because we're coming up to it. You know, we've kind of spent the whole summer not talking about it, but
we're getting there.
Extra Life is happening. It's happening, man.
I agree.
All right. Let's do your topic.
So, if we ran Nintendo, with the announcement of the Analog Pocket, does that spell doom for a potential Game Boy Classic? Now, for those that don't know, what this Analog Pocket is basically you take your cell phone, you drop this case, you drop it into a case, and then there's a slot in the back for your Game Boy, your Game Boy games. And then when you flip it over, there'll be buttons down here, and then you can actually play utilizing your screen for the actual Game Boy games. There's adapters for like Game Gear games and stuff like that. Like they went full blast with this thing. Additionally, down the line they're going to have adapters that you can hook it to your TV. But this thing looks like a Game Boy. It's real sleek. It looks like it basically...
Looks like a Game Boy Pocket.
It looks pretty amazing, really. The colors are sleek. They come in black and white. It's a $200 piece. That's how much it's costing out the gates. But it makes me wonder, because this got brought up on Nintendo Dads, and this is where I kind of got the idea, because I wanted to talk about it further with you a little bit. Does this kill the potential of a Game Boy Classic? And that was rumored along with the N64 Classic. We haven't heard anything from it. But we also know Nintendo, and this thing could drop at any particular time. No rhyme, no reason. Just be like, boom, here you go. What do you think? Do you think that things like this make Nintendo pause? Or do you what's your feeling?
First of all, I don't think that it has anything to do with your phone, Bobby. I think this is a standalone device.
Is it?
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, how is it going to work for the different sides of phones and everything? It's a standalone thing, which, to the whole top point of the topic, this is a standalone device that completely eliminates the need for a Game Boy Classic. Like, this is the thing.
It is. Yeah, it
has
is.
its own
I was looking at other things. Yeah.
5.6-inch screen with an incredible resolution. $200 is a perfect price to play, and is it future ability to play? The ability to play TV through a dock via HDMI is a huge plus. Yeah. And it will support Bluetooth controllers. Like, this is, I don't understand. So does it cause them to pause? I think this causes them to litigate. I think this causes them to sue. I can't believe, how is this legal? Other than, like, does Nintendo still hold like the patents or whatever?
I think it doesn't. I don't think. Okay, so I don't think Nintendo would have a leg to stand on in a lawsuit. And the reason why I say
the
that,
Retron 5
because the Retron 5s and all the different Retrons that they have, those controllers look very similar. I mean, yes, it looks like a Game Boy,
but it plays their games.
It doesn't matter. So does a Retron.
I know, but that's the thing that's crazy to me, that they can't stop that from happening.
I think because it's so old. I think
it's
doesn't
just so
matter.
old. Yeah, you just have to keep renewing your copyright or your patent or whatever, your trademark.
And I know people probably look at it and go like, oh, but they did update for the Game Boy Classic. No, the Game Boy Classic is a different beast altogether. So that's different. I think where they can go after people are people that make the fake NES Classics and load them with ROMs. Yes, but because this isn't a ROM hack, because this isn't already preloaded with a bunch of games, I don't think there's anything Nintendo can do to stop this.
It's like crazy.
So in those aspects, and to be fair, I wouldn't stop it. You know what I mean? We're not making money off of old Game Boy sales. You know what I mean? Like if I walked into Nick Militia's store and he had a lime green Game Boy color in the thing, right? I can't be like I buy that off of him. Nintendo's not getting any money off of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just bought the Game Boy SP. Game Boy Advance SP off him yesterday, the NES version. It's beautiful, Sean. It's gorgeous. But Nintendo don't get money for me buying that off of him. You know what I mean? So this is the same perspective of like, I feel like personally, they're doing us a service by putting stuff like this out.
Oh, big time.
Because it's keeping us at the forefront. It's people loving our product. This is basically for collectors. Like, this piece is a collector's piece. And that's what I feel like. I feel like this doesn't affect a Game Boy Classic in any way at all. I feel like a Game Boy Classic is still probably in the works. I think Nintendo is probably trying to nail down licensing. Because I think licensing is a big part of these collectors, the classic line.
Oh, big time.
Like, you can't just fill it with Nintendo games. You have to have the Mega Man games on there. You have to have Castlevania games on there. And you got to try to get some of the Final Fantasy games on there and stuff. So I think that if there's any reason why Nintendo has slowed down in making these, is because when they did the NES Classic and they did the SNES Classic, I think these third-party companies that gave games to Nintendo, probably for the super cheap to get them on there, I think they look at this and they go, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We want some more money now. And I think it's made Nintendo pause and just go, we need to figure out the financials on this.
You got to wonder if that made life difficult for PlayStation to get the licenses, because the first two really happened right before the PlayStation.
Yeah,
it was NES and then Super Nintendo, and then it was PlayStation Classic, and then so I could see them going, you got to buck up, and Sony was like, no, we'll just get these games instead, and it'll be perfectly fine. And obviously it wasn't. They didn't put nearly enough time into it. I wonder, like, okay, so this is really, it's different in that it plays your old games, but the package, like the collection, is really for people who aren't like us, who still have our games. Yeah. So that's really the differentiation that I think is super important, because people who have since gotten rid of their Game Boys and their Game Boy games, they would run out and buy a Game Boy Classic day one. This, like, you can't do anything with it on its own. It's not like they're selling this and 5 games. Yeah. So it's for a completely different audience. So you're right. I think they would forge ahead, but the fact that it needs a screen, I think, is probably the biggest piece of it all. I think licensing, I think they've got that down pat, to be honest, with everything that they've got going on, not even just the classic consoles that they've done, but the screen, they need to get that price just right. Yeah. And $200 is also not it's for some people it's an impulse buy, but for most people it's not. No. Not even close. The other ones were, what was the Super Nintendo launched at like $90, $89 I think, or $79, something like that.
Yeah, $89 I think it was.
Something like that. And then the number of games has to be included there as well. I think for a Game Boy experience, like, you're going to need more because they're smaller experiences for the most part. Super Nintendo had fewer games but bigger, kind of like longer experiences. But I think you're going to be closer probably to like a Game Boy, to the NES with the Game Boy. So you kind of have to balance out that screen and then the number of games and the price. It's a tricky proposition. Yeah. So I think that's a big reason why we haven't really seen it happen just yet. And then maybe some doubt coming in from the PlayStation. Maybe that caused some doubt in terms of, like, maybe this isn't quite a surefire
Well, and
thing.
Not only that, it's just not the PlayStation. Sega came out with one. And then
Sega's was good. I don't know. I just don't know if they it doesn't cause the same kind of hang up.
Well, what I mean is like there's also it's flooding of the market. Neo Geo put one out with they did theirs. So all these companies are starting to do it now, and I think Nintendo's just like, now we're not interested. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where like, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. And even though we know without a shadow of a doubt Nintendo's would sell far and beyond better than the other guys. It's just a thing. But
what spelled doom for it from the start was the Switch. I think the Switches, they're like, they don't want people playing a different handheld. They want people playing the Switch.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing.
Probably did help it a little bit or hurt it a little bit. Or help their decision to slow down on it. I think that personally, and this is my own personal feeling, is I would prefer to see them work harder on a virtual console. Because I feel like as a company, more games will get sold as a virtual console than these classic lines. Meaning, there are so many people that are ravenous for these old Nintendo games now. Because more people have bought the Switch. More people are now... See, because when you had the Wii, right, and you had the virtual console on the Wii, I think people understood what it was, but it was still relatively new. The whole philosophy of buying digital games on your console and having them and holding them. And it wasn't as big as it is now. You know what I mean? And when the Wii U came along, not that many people bought it,
Right.
And so when they had their virtual console on the Wii U, it was just like, not many people were doing it.
You're selling to a fraction of the 13 million people who have one. So.
Now you have over 38 million units sold worldwide.
Is that what they said? 38 million? Because it was like 15 in North America.
Yeah, it's right around 38 million or something like that. And so when you look at those numbers, right, and you go like, that's 40 million units. That's a lot of people that weren't on board with the Wii U, that were probably on board with the Wii, but again, it was still relatively new and not a lot of people were doing. Like, I'm one of the biggest Nintendo fans around. I think we can agree on that. I didn't buy many Wii.
I've seen bigger.
Shut up.
I said
kidding. One of. I didn't buy many of the Wii games. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't buy many of the Wii Virtual Console games because I was just like, that. It was still such a new thing to me that going out, and plus it wasn't easy. You had to go to the store. You had to buy points. You had to load the card on, all that stuff. Where, it's now it's a little bit more fluid and a lot more easier. Like, you just have your credit card loaded on. It's like boom, 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 boom. The transactions are quick and easy. It's just a different time,
Right. Well, I think that the biggest thing, and one of the reasons why they would want to continue on with the classic editions, is because it reaches out to the people who haven't got the Switch yet, or the main thing. Yeah. And I think maybe that's where mobile is really coming in. Like, they're always looking for ways, as any platform holder should, looking for ways to bring people either back or bring people new into the ecosystem. And I think the classic systems are really great for that, to remind people without making them spend $200, $300 on the big platform, on the big console, to go, you like Nintendo. Remember, you like these games. You can get more kind of things like this, but new and modern. You can still get your Mario and your Zelda and all those things here. So the classic editions, they're great for Nintendo fans like us who have all the things, because we go, now we have everything. Like, just let us keep throwing you our money. And that's where a lot of their profit is made. But to acquire new customers, or bring people back in from back in the day, that's where that $60 piece is huge. And that's why I think they really do need to continue on. I don't think that a virtual console will ever replace that, because you can only sell that to people who already have your system. Yeah. And then to your point, like, I even think big Nintendo fans still weren't and probably won't buy virtual console games as much as maybe it would require for it to be worth it. Yeah. And that's where subscription models have really come in. So, man, Nintendo just keeps finding itself like behind the 8 ball in a number of different ways. Like, I think Virtual Console is a rare exception where they led and then they've completely fallen off, and they really do need, like, Nintendo Switch Online. I think they're conflating a couple things. It's too many pieces. They jumped into online play and cloud saves and free games, and also sort of like this old school collection. It's too different, and they're doing it because they're Nintendo, and because they always do things different. Xbox has nailed it. You have a separate thing for online playing, cloud saves, and you have a separate thing for like Game Pass. Then you have Ultimate, brings it all together. It's actually perfect.
Yeah.
And like a Game Pass Ultimate for Switch, of course, this is not a new idea, but that's really what we need.
I think, I would prefer if they would eliminate the free games and go, because I think what they need to do is maybe keep both, but give people the ability that don't have Nintendo Online to just buy the games, but don't get that online.
Sure, yeah, totally.
Structure. Just be
the
like,
new games the free games should be the new games. They should be for like indie games that people like, spotlight games that people haven't heard of, to solve that issue that we all talk about, where games are getting lost in the shuffle. Games don't get the spotlight on Nintendo that they do on other systems. Like Rocket League is a classic example. There's a lot of games that come out on a free service that just launch, and because everybody's got access to them, they become a huge success and everybody's talking about them. Nintendo doesn't have that. And we've kind of like shifted topics a little bit here.
Yeah.
But that's a real shame, because Nintendo can be the place. They've done a really great job with their indies so far, but wouldn't it be great for them to be the catalyst for one game every couple months or so just get launched into the stratosphere, into this huge success? Nintendo doesn't have that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, second topic we're going to move right into. If we ran Nintendo, would we pressure companies like Blizzard and Capcom to use physical copies like The Witcher 3 did, and get away with these empty packaging with codes?
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-numbing to me that we get a game like The Witcher 3 that I have here, and it has everything in it. It has all DLC in it, all in one cartridge. Everything is there. And we can't even get a cartridge for Overwatch. And I don't understand, and I say Capcom because they do it as well. They're just as guilty of it with all the Resident Evil games.
Didn't they do it with the Mega Man collection as well?
The Mega Man collection, you get like the Legacy collection, and the cartridge just has Legacy Collection 1 on it.
Right.
And Legacy Collection 2 is a digital download.
Yeah.
And I don't understand this philosophy of this is the way we're going to approach. Now, I know right now there's Todd Oxter and people are typing feverishly going like, well, Nintendo needs to all set the prices of the cartridges. Okay, whatever. Let's say that they did, because apparently it didn't bother CD Projekt Red. They just went all in. You know what I mean? They were like, this is a game that's worthy of a great collection. We're going to do it. We're going to put it out there. My question is how do you have a company like CD Projekt Red go in all the way, go in deep, and basically put the every single thing on this cartridge, on this copy, and on a game like Overwatch, you sell a case in the stores. Someone walks in the store and they're picking up a case, and they have to go home and download the game. What is the point of that?
Yeah,
makes no sense to me.
Just download it.
Yeah.
Well, it's some companies just kind of reading the tea leaves and going, we're going to be here just because that's where some people are, but we're going to put as much effort into that physical copy as people are making the effort to go buy them. Like, people aren't putting in the effort to go to a physical store and buy them. So in some cases it aligns, but of course you open it up, and I don't know how people can really open that up and go, oh, this feels silly. Like, I don't know anybody who opens that up and goes like, this is perfectly normal. This is what I want. It's not what anybody wants. But I think in terms of pressuring, I think the market sort of like works itself out where CD Projekt Red is putting out a product. There's a tremendous value proposition there. Where you look at that and you go, I want this. It even draws people in like me who I don't want that. I don't even want to play that game on Switch because I have it on my other systems and arguably plays better. But that pack, like you just holding that package up, that looks like something I want.
And there's so much stuff in
before, that's just it. Like, it looks like even not even the game. It's so funny because I would probably throw the game out in that situation. I mean, I want everything but the game.
I mean, here's the game. Not only that, like, look at this game, right? The packaging looks better than this. Doesn't have that stupid white bar over it that says, like, online functionality or whatever. It's pretty. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty plain Jane inside. There's nothing really in the actual case itself. But then it comes with this package here, right? And you open this package up, and there's like, dude, there's all kinds of stuff. There's a letter from CD Projekt Red to the gamer. Mm-hmm. There's stickers here. We got some stickers in here. There's
that's old school, man. Stickers are so old school.
A compendium book for the Wild Hunt, which is, and then this gigantic map in here. It's like, dude, they put so much heart into this, and like they really took some special care with this collector's edition, which is like that. We're gonna give you a little extra.
That rips my heart. That really rips my heart out, especially when you think about Overwatch and all the lore and all the characters. They all have something to them. Like, I feel like kids are missing out on this thing. Like, unless they're getting something from it's just, this is old man yelling at the clouds, but there's no way you can get as much out of some sort of like PDF or some sort of like website that we got when you opened up a game and you had a full instruction book. Like, every character had an explanation, which these new games, like, not every game has that. Yeah. Not every game has the ability to just outline every enemy and enemy type and all their characteristics and their history and everything. But some games do that. And some, like, Overwatch is one of those games. And that would have been such a great example, an opportunity for them to load up the cart with, here's all the lore. Here's all the reasons, or like a comic or something. Like, they've got all these great things that they can give to you and then draw you online as well, because that's where a lot of the content exists. So if we ran Nintendo, I wouldn't pressure. I don't like the idea of pressuring. I think that's an old school Nintendo way of doing things, where they really stiff-armed publishers to doing what they wanted to. I think publishers and game makers have too many options now, where they'll just go somewhere else. And I don't think that would really work anymore. Arguably, when they did pressure, I think that's where the whole seal of quality came in, where they were actually able to uphold that across an entire industry, or 90% of the market share that they held. But now I don't think so. But I think as gamers, like, we should reward it when we see it. So even as I say this, I'm like, I kind of want that package. Yeah, that looks amazing, and then not reward the physical packages that come with nothing. But then that leads us to just buy digital, which is what they want to begin with. Yeah. So I feel a little bit helpless. I feel like my hands are tied in this way.
And that's my questioning for a company like Nintendo. Does Nintendo get involved here? You know, like, there's already rumors that Nintendo wants to look at the way indie developers are, like, just slashing the prices and going, like, we don't want you to do that because we want value behind your games. You got to stop doing it. That is a conversation that is happening internally at Nintendo. Really? Yes. I heard coming out of E3 that Nintendo wants to look at this and try to correct this a little bit, because I think they're taking some heat. Because it is the dumbest thing in the world that companies are literally just trying to get space and get noticed.
It's not just dumb; it's dangerous.
Well, it's dangerous. It's upsetting some people. It is upsetting some people. I don't know whether it's rightfully so or not. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't affect me. If I buy a game at full price and a couple weeks later, or a month later, 2 months later, it gets dropped on price, it doesn't matter.
So it upsets gamers, people who buy the game. Yeah. I see what okay. But I think it also upsets, and rightfully so, it can upset publishers and game makers as well, because, like, why are you guys all devaluing games? Like, why are you all just feeding into this perspective that games aren't worth anything more than a couple bucks? That's not healthy for the industry. So I think Nintendo can take a stand from that perspective to go, for the sake of the health of the industry. I think they do need to, but how do you set prices across the board? Because it's hard. Nintendo can do one thing, and then Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. Steam is really like, on the non-mobile front, Steam is kind of where it all comes from. Yeah. Because you hear about these Steam sales, they're sort of like notorious in a way. And games are free everywhere, so it feels like that, like, the lower value of games has more momentum than the pushback on it ever will. Like, there's not enough energy going back into upholding the value. So what are you supposed to do?
I agree, and I feel like there's one of these things that, like, law-wise, are you even allowed to do something like that?
Exactly.
You know? But it looks like maybe they have some. I don't know what the answer is for that. But I feel like with this, there's some way that Nintendo can fix this, and I feel like it's go sit down with publishers and go, what do you need to do this properly? Like, the minute that because these companies have to submit to Nintendo in order for them to be able to put a cartridge on their console, because they have to submit to get the cartridges. So I think that the minute that Capcom goes to Nintendo and goes, listen, this is our game plan, I think Nintendo needs to sit down with them and go, all right, wait a minute, guys. this makes no sense. This isn't consumer friendly. It's not what they want. How do we fix this?
Yeah.
How do we make this right? What do you need from Nintendo in order to make this right? Our cartridges are too expensive. Okay, maybe we offset the cartridges a little bit. Maybe we take a little bit of hit on the profit we're bringing in to help you to lower your price.
But why would they ever do that? I don't know. Like, to make the experience better for the consumer, why should Nintendo take that hit?
Because because eventually at some point, I think you start to alienate the consumer. I think on some level, you start to alienate the consumer, and they just
link it to Nintendo, not the publisher.
Because think about it. Whoever blames the publisher, they always blame Nintendo for these things.
That makes sense.
It doesn't matter if it's Nintendo or not. Nintendo catches the blame for it no matter what. Mm-hmm. So I feel like in a situation of here's an example. If I am a person that does not play games digitally, right? Mm-hmm. There's not enough memory on the Switch to really play games digitally, right? So I don't want to go buy another memory card. I don't want to do any of that. It might turn me off from buying this Mega Man collection because they're both not on a cartridge. And the thing too is like, now this is a Capcom thing, right? Where you're telling me that collection 1 and 2 wouldn't fit on a cartridge?
Yeah.
It would have all fit on one cartridge. So that's up to where Nintendo needs to go and go, guys, come on. Let's make a little common sense here. Let's just put if you don't want to buy 2 cartridges from us, that's fine. Just put the whole collection on one.
Man, because they as much money as they're getting from the publishers on the sale of the cartridges which they manufacture, it's still got to net more positive for them to just have digital sales. And Nintendo, I think, secretly wants people just going digital anyways. Yeah. Because even for their own games, it makes more sense. Yeah. And they've finally come to realize that. I think that's really the heart of it here, is that Nintendo wants people to become digital. Yeah. There's no...
Oh, absolutely. I think all publishers want companies or wants fans to become digital. That's no doubt in my mind. And I think the one thing that's more maddening is when you look at how... Because in Japan, they put out both copies of Mega Man on cartridge. But apparently in the United States, it's not a big a thing.
Maybe it just wasn't ready. Maybe it was...
No, that had nothing to do with it. I can't remember the story, the reason why. Chris... oh my God.
White.
I just went blank. No, not Chris White.
O'Brien.
Yes. No, not Chris O'Brien. Oh, man. Player One podcast. Chris Johnson. He basically said it the one time where there was a reasoning behind it. It's just the philosophies of the consumer. Like they look at the data and they go, you got to do this here, but you don't have to do it here, and this is why this is just the way it works. So interesting. It's all data and it's all reasonings behind it. But I guess they look at it like we're not worried about upsetting the 1% or 2%. It is what it is.
I think it's a matter of having your cake and eating it too. Like Nintendo is the only ones manufacturing their own cartridges right now, so they have that. But then can they force people to use it and pay more for it as well? Like it's a big ask what Nintendo does for publishers. It's a big ask for them to say, buy it from us and include it on every single thing, and to force that hand where they don't have anywhere near that. Like where they just put something on a disc, on a Blu-ray disc on the other systems, and that's it. Yeah. Like. And it's the same disc. I'm fairly certain it's got to be the same. Like it's a Blu-ray for Xbox and for PlayStation. So to have that special case, I don't think they hold any water in terms of forcing or pressuring. The thing is, how do they incentivize it? In my case, like how do they make it make more sense or do they give it like special spotlight? Like is that part of it? Where if they had the option, but then how do you do it for everybody? Like how do you give a spotlight to everybody who makes a big deal out of their physical cartridge or physical offering? Yeah, like there's nothing you can really do. Like there's email lists that go out or something like that. Remember when your Wii U used to pop up just like in the middle of the night? You go like special offer. Yeah. I don't think anybody really. I don't even know if that worked, but I don't know. Yeah, it did. I don't know like it would. Oh, you mean you don't know anybody like would go buy? Did it convert? Did it did it sell anything? But I don't know, man. I think the market's just got to speak for itself. If people want things like The Witcher, then they'll buy things like The Witcher. If they don't like things like the Overwatch thing, then they'll just buy it online. Like, it's a shame, and I just wish that there was a more direct way to do it. I wonder
if this is something that retailers would do as opposed to, like, I wonder if a company like Best Buy, if they were to just turn around and go, we're not carrying it. We're not bringing it in our store. We're not, like, I get it. They make money.
But then does that
doesn't
perpetuate
matter.
the whole, like, just forcing people online? But
yeah,
right, that's why I
yeah.
felt like Nintendo doesn't really have a chance to really enforce this or to spotlight it, but certainly the retailers would.
Yeah.
Where they can make a big deal about The Witcher. But then
again,
like,
retailers
they're
are selling
anything at all.
You go into Best Buy and they're selling digital cartridge or digital cardboard things that you go buy the cardboard, you take it home and you scratch off the number and it's basically a digital game. So
by the way, for the retailers is nothing for them to ship in or for them to
it's
maintain inventory.
Yeah,
like, they
it's
don't
not
care.
a big area.
Those are easier for them too.
Yeah, they just slap them on a board and that's it. I guess we're just headed down this road. There's nothing anybody can really do. Mm-hmm. I just feel bad. And not feel bad. I feel like games like this need to be praised.
Witcher, yeah.
Games like The Witcher 3 need to be praised, and people
need
to go buy this game. You know, but I think that people need to go buy it and not, because I know they've been catching a little bit of flack because it's not perfect. It's not identical to like what you're getting on Xbox. But the fact that this game is on the Switch is mind blowing.
It has me thinking, man, because I'm going to be, flying. I could have taken it to Tennessee last week too, but like that's the kind of thing. When the NX was a thing, I remember saying if Mass Effect Andromeda comes out on the NX or whatever, I would have bought it there. Yeah. Back when I thought that game was actually going to be good.
Yeah.
The gaming time that for me personally, the gaming time I have for my Switch is completely separate from the gaming time I have on my Xbox and my PlayStation because I play my Switch almost exclusively on the go. Yeah, which is another reason why I should be getting that damn light, but that's a whole other story. But I haven't got around to playing The Witcher on my consoles. I know it looks so good. That light looks so good in your hands. I mean, just in general, but also in your hands.
Feels
nice.
good in my hands too.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, that's gross. So maybe The Witcher is the right place for it, man. Maybe that's it. And I'm not completely averse to buying physical games on the Switch as maybe you might think that I am. But most of the games that we have, or many games that we have, are physical. Chelsea and I. Yeah. I've got the physical version of Link's Awakening. Now, the whole conversation about like should Nintendo lead by example? What the hell am I getting in my Link's Awakening package?
Well, if you bought the collectors, you got a lot of stuff.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, like I bought this, so I have a book in here, an amazing art book.
Look how enormous that is.
I know.
Look at this. That's. I don't know if I want that either. That is a nice book. That's gorgeous.
This book is.
It's probably got nothing good in it though.
What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking?
Oh, that is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty. All right. Just hit the mic a couple more times. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, you did it. You're making me pull stuff out. Anyway, let's.
You're such a blamer. What is it? How is that my fault at all?
Because you're talking nonsense. You're attacking Nintendo for Link's Awakening.
I've been doing a lot of reading on blame culture, Bobby, and
well, guess what?
Yeah, you're below the line.
Don't blame the culture. Blame the blamer. Anyway. I don't know what that meant. Anyway, Sean, we have this thing called patreon.com/YumiCapri. And did you know that for as little as $1 per month, not only do you get the episode early, but you can also submit topics like our friend Brendan Myers did this week with his topic is, if we ran Nintendo, would we want to have a first-party game that is story-driven like The Last of Us? Would we want to use a current IP, or would we create a brand new IP in order to do this?
Okay, let's break this down.
Yeah, I think that what Sony is able to accomplish with not just games like Last of Us, but with God of War and with Horizon and all this, they do these very story-driven games, almost cinematic games. And I feel like when you look at those types of games, nobody does it better than Sony. Sony has that on lock, and they kill it. I've often looked at Nintendo and been like, man, why don't you do something like this? I feel like Zelda got very close, but not nowhere near. I mean, in terms of like for Nintendo, with the cinematics and with the voice acting and all that stuff, I feel like Nintendo finally started to recognize a little bit, like, we need to push it a little bit that further. But it's nowhere near where it needs to be. If it was me personally, I say yes. We definitely need a game that does this. Now, the question is do you do a franchise, a new franchise, or use a current franchise? I feel like the way for this to work properly is you use a current franchise.
Interesting.
And I feel like the game that just screams that could be a perfect thing for this is probably Metroid.
I was gonna say, can we say it at the same time? So that I was thinking Metroid as well.
Yeah.
The devil on my shoulder was saying it's not going to work because Joey Ferris will be absolutely furious with it if you change his Metroid Prime mid series.
I wouldn't do Metroid Prime.
Okay.
I wouldn't do Metroid Prime. I would do a totally different offshoot. I would take it back to, essentially what I would do is I would take it back to the roots. And I would do the first, I would do it in a third person game. You know what I mean? Not first person, not 2D platformer. I'd go third person with it.
Yeah, over the shoulder.
And I would have it where you kind of reboot the franchise a little bit. Add a little something to it. Maybe you lean a little bit more into Alien, which this game is basically ripped from. But I would lean a little bit more into it where you're part of a crew that you go and the Metroids are attacking the crew and killing off members of the crew. And this is the precursor to it all. This is the precursor or the prequel of sorts to the original Metroid, where this is, you go in, you fly in, and maybe at this point you're trying to get someone, maybe a child, off of the land. Maybe there's a distress signal, right? We have a distress signal. Samus goes to answer that distress signal, flies down with the crew, and as they get down to this land, they realize a ship was attacked by these Metroids and killed off everything. But you have to go find out, like, is there any, because you have a life beacon popping up that there's somebody alive out there. It's a small child. And then you have to work your way through the planet Zebes, and break it down and figure how to get this kid off. But in the meantime, you're losing crew members. Crew members are getting attacked by the Metroids. They're dying. And you have to get this child back to your ship and fly it out. But
wouldn't it be cool too? Like,
stuff.
I like that. I like that as a foundation too. And then like the Metroid as the Metroidvania part of it could sort of like spiral into a branching storyline where you can save one person, or you go check in on one crew member, and they can get you to other parts of the map, or they can get you to certain endings because of some gear that they've got, or some sort of ability that they've got that kind of allow you to explore different parts of the map that could even get you to different story endings. I think that's the thing. Like, Nintendo can really own that isn't really happening right now, and to take it to the next level, because I'm not really interested in Nintendo doing Sony's game. I'm interested in Nintendo doing something completely different, but still locking in on that very story-driven thing. Mass Effect kind of tapped in on this, and I thought this was going to be a bigger deal, where choice matters, and it carries through multiple iterations of the game or throughout the franchise. I think that would be really interesting. But Nintendo, like, for me, thinking back in my history, multiple endings, like with Chrono Trigger and things like that, were such a huge deal that have kind of gone away. And I think Metroid would be, it actually makes sense just because of all the back and forth and the backtracking that you do and the different ways that you explore the map. For you to end up with different endings is actually kind of silly now that I think about it, that you always end up with the same ending, considering all the different directions that you've explored. How does it always culminate in this like singular ending? That would be a really cool way to do Metroid and link in with the story. I think that you're totally right. Mario's not the game that we need to do it, obviously. Link maybe is kind of there, but not, I don't think really. I think this speaks to like the fact of a more story driven narrative, sort of like the Sony thing, speaks to a more mature gamer. So you need a mature type of franchise with it. So like what else, like Splatoon is not it, like game type aside. But everything else about it, like Nintendo has purposefully steered away, I think, from mature games because they try and get gamers in from the early onset. And now with third-party support, they don't really have to worry about that for the mature. Like, they can continue from a first-party standpoint, just do the family-friendly kind of stuff, and they'll let CD Projekt Red do Witcher and other third parties now. So right at this moment, I don't even know, as much as I like this idea, I don't think that the imperative is on them as much as it maybe used to be. But maybe for the future, the trick is, how do you just not put yourself in direct competition with Sony?
Well, here's the thing.
And then comparison with them.
Regardless of whether Nintendo wants to admit it or not, they are in direct competition with Sony. What happens is Nintendo grooms the child gamer, the younger gamers, and then they move on to Sony because they're looking for that more
so you're
mature
looking for
theme.
attention.
So why not take one of your franchises? It's really not a kid franchise as it is, right? And dive in deep with that story. And go, we're going to make this more adult-themed, more adult feel. Give that tension, that Paramount feeling to it. Make it kind of creepy. Make it kind of jump scary at some points. Do some stuff with it and own it and take it to the next level. And make kids go... Make people just go like, hey, here's your Mario, here's your Zelda. This gets you up to a certain point. Now we're 13, 14 years old. We're looking for something else. Oh, here it is. You don't even have to go over to Sony anymore. We have it here. And then maybe if this
But that's from a first party. That's the whole thing. And the thing that I worry about is the brand of Nintendo. Then it gets very confusing, like what it means to be a Nintendo console. Right now it's very clear. And you're right that gamers will grow up and they'll go to another system for other things, but the third party games are scratching that itch as well. And the thing that I'm really worried about, and we're going to see this with The Last of Us 2, is The Last of Us made us feel things that even since then games haven't done that before. Spoilers, not really, Joel's daughter dies in the first 10 minutes. Like, are you ready to go there?
Yeah,
Nintendo, like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, are you ready to go there? And The Last of Us 2 is going to push it even further. I don't know, man.
I totally know. I totally know. This is no different than stuff that Disney does. You know what I mean? Like, Disney kills off family members like that.
Good point.
And that's still family friendly. Like, I don't understand why we have to be one or the other. Why can't we be all? You know what I mean? Like, you need to grow and to be like, we don't want our fans going elsewhere. We want them to stay here. So you start with a Metroid game. And then you slowly start to build, and then you do the other IP. You test it with Metroid. Does it work? Yes. Okay, we're going to create some new IP, and this is where we're going to go with it. You still have your family-friendly stuff, but you also have this ability to go... Because here's the thing, Sean. When your third parties ditch you, like they did with the Wii U, you need to have stuff that keep people here. If people, and that's what it is. You're setting yourself up for down the line. That if the day that the Switch doesn't work, and we have to pivot, like we do with like we did with the Wii U, they pivoted from the Wii U to the Switch immediately. They cut it off and they moved. I'm not saying they wouldn't have had to do that with the Wii U if they would have had games like this, but at the end of the day, they didn't have no third party support. So you didn't get the Tomb Raiders. You didn't get the Witchers. You didn't get any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
This is the ability for Nintendo to go, hey, all right, we're okay.
Every now and then, my computer should know I'm on Skype. It should stop turning off the screen. I'm sorry, that was disruptive. Every now and then, I'll come up with like a position and go like, I just don't know about this, and sometimes I do it because just to play devil's advocate, so that we're not like both like hurrah, like we're both in the same direction. Like let's just I try to explore kind of the full nature of the topic that we're discussing. And I don't know that I felt quite as like, damn dude, like that was one of the best. Like the Disney point is actually, that is a huge, that's a great counter. To that point, could we then take it where there are different, like almost like sub brands within Nintendo, like where you have Pixar, you have Marvel, you have all these other things, you have Star Wars. Could you have like I don't know what you would call it, but like Nintendo for adults, essentially, like this sort of like this sub brand that lets you know these are the types of games you're gonna get. This is not, because they're not the same. You can't go Nintendo makes Mario and Nintendo makes super dark, scary adult Metroid. Like they have to be almost like branded separately. They almost have to be something else. But that may be for another discussion of categories of types of games. But you almost want to know, and that's my point of being confusing, is when you buy a Nintendo published game or a Nintendo made game, you generally know what you're going to get, right? You're not going to get Mario and Manhunt, although those are both on the Wii, but you kind of have to have some sort of indication, whether it fully says on the rating or whoever's making it or whatever category within.
I think Nintendo is tired of being categorized as we're the kid-friendly.
I don't think they're tired of it at all.
I think they are. I think they are. I think that the fact that they're letting all these different franchises come in, dude, before, if you would have told me this game was coming out day one on the Switch, everybody would have been shocked and all. Yeah, The Witcher 3.
Well, it's not day one.
I'm just no. I'm saying if this Switch launches, this hits day one.
Yeah.
Everybody would have been floored that this game was on there. Now we're 3 years in, and we've already had all these crazy franchises: L.A. Noire, South Park, all these different games that aren't kid friendly have hit, and now people go, "Oh, that's normal. That would be there." But there was a time when that wasn't the norm.
I understand. I'm just saying when Nintendo makes it, like people understand when it's a Nintendo-made game versus that. And this is actually very similar to, I would say, Super Nintendo and 64 days, where you had Doom come out, you had South Park come out, you had a lot of these like weird, very adult kind of games. So this is really this is the selection of games that we want on our platform. It's just a matter of, from a first-party standpoint, what are we actually making? Yeah. But wouldn't it be amazing, Bobby? Wouldn't it be absolutely incredible?
That is all. Thank you guys for watching another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. Episode 171 is now in your ears. It's complete. It's done. Be sure to check us out over on Google Play and all that stuff. YouTube. Some reviews would be fantastic across the board on everything, whatever you do. Check out Sean Capri over on Twitter. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can check him out over on twitch.tv/Sean Capri. I was going to say Sean Capri, but whatever. I don't want to confuse people. Check me out, Instagram, Twitter, @Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
We need a t-shirt that says Bobby Capri. That'll be the next shirt.
Bobby Capri.
Bobby Capri.